everyone. So this week we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about the jokes in the comments and things that are made about Tourette syndrome. I have recently made a couple different shorter videos that I have posted about how the jokes aren't funny and I'm not okay with them. The ones that are in movies where people make the person with Tourette syndrome out to be this giant joke, and that's literally all they're there for. I've gotten a lot of mixed comments on it, mostly people agreeing with me that it's not okay to make fun of people with disabilities because Tourette syndrome is a disability. However, I also got the stupid comments with people telling me to get over myself and to lighten up, completely missing the entire point of the video, I might add, in my opinion. But then there's the other comments where people say, well, I feel comfortable if it's my friends and they know that level where we can joke around, or I feel comfortable when they're laughing with me, or how do I feel about it, and all of those things. So I wanted to get a little bit more in depth because when it comes down to it, I'm not saying that nobody can ever make a joke about Tourette syndrome. I make jokes about my own tics and stuff sometimes to lighten the load for me, because you have to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit from time to time. And I completely get that. It's not like I don't think you can ever do it. There's a comedian, Sam Comro, who makes jokes about his life with Tourette syndrome. And I think he is hilarious. One, though, the difference is that he has it himself. And two, when I make the jokes, I'm starting that conversation to say that it is okay. And there is a huge, huge, huge difference between laughing with a person and laughing at them. And my biggest problem is, when it comes down to it, is that there's these people and these characters in movies where people say that, or people set these characters up who supposedly have Tourette syndrome in the movie, but all they have is an over-dramatized, over-exaggerated form of coprolalia, which is the swearing part of Tourette syndrome, which only 10 to 15% of people have, and it's literally only there for a joke. And this is what people, kids, adults, are growing up and learning that Tourette syndrome is. They're learning that Tourette syndrome is nothing but a joke. Therefore, it makes it so much harder for people with real Tourette syndrome, people with coprolalia, to be taken seriously. It's like you can't win, and I understand that, so I won't waste a ton of energy on this. And believe me, I don't waste a ton of energy. However, it being 26 years and there not being any real representation, and characters in movies still are just there for the joke when it's Tourette syndrome, it gets very frustrating because people with coprolalia, they either don't get taken seriously or they can get kicked out of places. They do get kicked out of places. People say that they don't care that they have Tourette syndrome and that they need to get out anyway. Or those of us, myself, who don't have coprolalia, I get accused of faking because I don't swear. And then again, the people with it get accused of faking sometimes because it's like, oh, well, that's just a joke in movies, or that's not real. That's just something people put in movies. So no matter what you do, people don't believe you. So at the end of the day, I guess we're still going to keep fighting the same battles. However, that's why it makes it so much harder, and that's why it's so frustrating. There is only 2 movies that I can think of that have had real representation, which is Front of the Class, about Brad Cohen, who is an incredible individual. I had the honor of interviewing him on a Tourette Talk that you can go back and watch. He is wonderful. It's about his real life, and he talked to me a little bit about the movie as well. It's a Hallmark movie about his life growing up and not being believed in classrooms, or growing up with it not being known that it was Tourette syndrome, those types of things. And then he becomes a teacher that he never had. It's an incredible movie. I highly recommend it. And then another movie that I saw within the last 5 years was Motherless Brooklyn. I love that movie and resonated with it. I resonated with it so much, with there being a male lead character, that it made me emotional when it wasn't, from what I remember. I can't remember everything about it, but it had a real depiction. He just happened to have Tourette syndrome. And yeah, they put some funny things in there, which is okay because there was real representation with it. That is my real problem, is the fact that there's 2 movies in 26 years of my life that show real people with Tourette syndrome, so people don't understand that when you joke about it, you're just perpetuating the stigma that continues to stick in people's minds, that people continue to think that it's okay to laugh at us. The difference is laughing with us or at us. And when you're making jokes about Tourette syndrome, or you're saying something and you swear, or you say something inappropriate, you're like, oh, I must have Tourette syndrome, that's at us. That is not with me. You are making fun of our entire community, and I'm sorry, it's never going to be okay with me. I'm never going to be okay with things like that. It's not funny. And it shouldn't be okay. You don't get a pass because movies make fun of it. There was a comment that I got too that everybody makes fun of everything, which that doesn't mean that it's okay. I know it's a fine line, but like people around me, they know what jokes that they can make. They know they can make jokes with me, but they know me, they love me, they care about me, and they're making jokes with me, not at me. And there's a very, very, very big difference with that. I am not saying that I cannot laugh at anything ever. And I maybe could get a better sense of humor if the representation in movies, if it wasn't always just the joke. If there could be a character that happens to have Tourette Syndrome. Maybe they don't even have coprolalia, or maybe they do, but it's not this over-dramatized version for a laugh. If there was more of that, I would be more okay with it. If people talked about Tourette Syndrome, if kids were taught about Tourette Syndrome in school, which I will happily come to any school and talk to the classes about Tourette Syndrome if you want me to, so definitely reach out. But if more of those things were happening, it would be easier to accept these jokes. However, that's not happening. And then we have news anchors and political people talking about accusing people, oh, well, they must have political Tourette's, or, oh, they must have a case of Tourette's because they can't control themselves. Those are the things that are annoying. I don't want to be used in that way. I should never have to be used in that way. A child growing up should never have to see their disorder used that way again and again and again. Tourette syndrome is hard enough living with, especially when you're a kid, but every time you see it mentioned on the TV that you're being made fun of, that doesn't feel good, especially when you're a child and you can't really regulate all of those emotions properly. I don't want other children growing up wondering, like, why does everybody make fun of me? Why does everybody think this is funny when it's uncomfortable and it hurts? It's not okay. And that's where I draw the line. So yes, I can have a sense of humor. I have a great sense of humor, actually. I actually think too many things are funny, probably. But what I want is real representation, and then maybe people in the Tourette syndrome community can lighten up.